It's life hacks to a better future today. Today we're gonna talk about how to stretch in different ways. It can be on the go, it don't matter where. Could be on the subway, could be in your car, it could be on the way. Take a load off Fanny. You could be Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, 'cause your tissue juice need it today. Today we were talking about 3 easy ways to improve your flexibility and mobility on the go. So we have a question from one of our viewers today. Why work on flexibility and mobility? Great question, Doug. Let me tell you why. Number 1 is it improves your capacity to both do the movement safely and effectively. Number 2 is it helps with the circulation of nutrient-dense blood. Number 3 is it creates a flushing effect in our lymphatic system, which clears out congestion. To quote Kelly Starrett, you can think of it as groceries in, garbage out. The nutrient-dense blood would be the groceries, and the lactic acid after a workout would be the garbage. So what you're doing is, as you're simultaneously entering that blood into the system, you're also removing the lactic acid that's built up after a workout, and the blood will aid in the recovery of all of the tissues that have been torn down, giving it the support it needs to rebuild. Now we're moving on to 3 easy ways of improving your flexibility and mobility on the go. We're going to talk about the breakdown of each of them and how they actually work, and we're going to move on to giving you what it looks like. First up, we have the couch stretch. The couch stretch is good because it opens up the body in the front. So first thing you're going to need is a 90-degree angle with hopefully a little bit of cushion, but it's not necessary if you're feeling daring. From afar, this is what this position looks like. The foot is on the floor, the knee is in the corner, the foot is either facing towards your back or up towards the sky, and your upper body is straight up and down with your butt squeezed and your belly on as if somebody was going to punch you. So you can think of your upper body as the tensioner for this exercise. If it's upright, there's going to be more tension in the system, and if it's down, it's going to be less tension in the system. Oh, that was dizzy. I feel like I'm swaying. Oh. Gosh. Now what this looks like is I'm going to hinge at my hip, creating less tension, and creating more tension. So number 2 is the counter stretch. Now what you're going to need for this is an elevated surface, but it's not necessary. We're going to show you some progressions to scale it down if you're sitting, and scale it up if you want some more intensity on an elevated surface. So the counter stretch plays a really important role in the ability to externally rotate at the hip, which leaves your pelvis and your back in a very stable position. Now in English. You know that sensation when you have a really good chocolate bar? It's called your happy place. It's the exact same thing that happens with your hip when this happens. So number 1 is you're going to want to bring your leg up onto an elevated surface. From here, what you can do is you can keep your torso nice and tall for me. Rotate side to side, and that can be in a bit more of a hinged position, so with your chest coming closer to the surface, and shifting side to side to find some corners that are tight. For instance, if I'm on the outside of my hip, I find a lot of tight tissues here. In the middle, not so much. As I lean forward more, it puts more tension in the stretch. And as I elevate my torso, it puts less tension. This is a great place to also check emails. In the morning, I find I'll catch myself doing this while maintaining my back throughout the entire texting session or email session on the computer or on my phone. So the way you're going to get into this funky little stretch is you're going to bring your knee up, tuck it into your chest, fold over so your butt is on the surface, let your leg flop on, and your heel should be close to your other leg, and your foot should be hanging off the edge of the surface. So this is a seated variation of that exact same stretch, and this is for office workers, for people who are doing long hauls in transportation who aren't driving. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring your leg up onto your other leg, keeping your chest tall and hinging at the hip. You're going to fold forward to create tension and fold back up to create less tension. The way that you can apply a pressure is pushing on the thigh towards the ground. You're going to notice you're going to feel a bit more of tension in the hip when you do this. Bounce stretches now. It's called a lat stretch. It's gonna be for stabilizing things overhead. So the lat stretch is really great for adding some range of motion overhead, and you won't be prone to overextending in your lower back, which can lead to a lot of pain and pathology and potentially at some point injury, which we don't want. So there's a couple points of performance for this stretch. Number one is, take your hand and place it flat on the wall. Number two is, once your hand's flat on the wall, get your belly tight like somebody's about to punch you. Number three is, once your belly's tight, shift your hips back, keeping that belly tight the entire time. You should feel some tension on the outside of your body here. Number four, play around with the angle of where you're at with the wall. The big point of performance is going to be keeping your rib cage facing down and not losing that position by overextending in your lower back. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining me on the journey today. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube to follow along. That's Life Hacks to a Better Future. You can also check out some other platforms, Instagram and Facebook. My name is Tayvan, or at Tayvan Gagne. You can follow along. Tune in next week, same time, same place, maybe a different place. We'll see. Have a good week, guys. Cheers.